Welcome to Auntie's Parenting Tidbits, life hacks for the perfectly imperfect parent. Today we're going to discuss, are we helping or hindering our kids by giving them everything? So we as parents, we try to give our kids everything we've never had. We try to make sure that they never have to feel any pain. We try to make sure that they never have to go through anything that is unpleasurable for them. And in my opinion and the opinion of some psychologists, we are actually hurting them and creating a generation of entitled children. And we're creating children who are unable to handle disappointment. And it is crippling them psychologically and making it so that they are not developed correctly mentally and physically and unable to function well as adults. So, what do I mean by that? And I'm going to explain it. And I don't think that we as parents do it intentionally. We are not trying to fail our kids. We are really and truly trying to give them the greatest life ever. We are trying to give them all the things that we never had, and we tend to overdo it. And when we overdo it, we actually end up crippling our kids. So what do I mean by that? I broke it down into the 7 things that I think we as parents tend to do unintentionally, again, to our kids, that tend to cripple them as adults and kind of stops their mental development and brings them to a halt and causes problems later in life. So the first thing is we minimize kids' feelings. What do I mean by that? So when we say things like, you don't need to be sad, or boys don't cry, or it's not that big a deal, don't be so dramatic about it, what we're really telling our kids is your feelings don't matter. And you should hold all that stuff in and you shouldn't express it because at this moment in time, it's inconvenient for me. And we don't mean to say it that way. We don't mean it that way, I should say. But that's really what we're saying. That is really what our kids are internalizing when we say things like that. So instead of saying that, we should tell them it's okay to cry. But mommy doesn't want to hear it right now. So you cry over there and I'm going to go over here. And when you're done crying and you're done feeling how you're feeling, and you have every right to feel that way, you come and join mommy. So you let them have their moment. You don't necessarily have to be there for that moment. You come and join mommy when you're done having that moment. So, or you can say it's okay to be scared. Even mommy gets scared sometimes. And you make it a teachable moment. Or you teach them the appropriate way to show those feelings. Like, mommy's having a bad day. So instead of going out today, we're going to stay in the house. And mommy's going to read a book because mommy's having a really bad day today. Mommy's really mad today. So mommy's going to calm down by reading this book. And then they learn that, okay, adults get angry too. But mommy's not throwing things around the house. Mommy's calming herself down. So maybe I should calm myself down instead of throwing things around the house, as opposed to just allowing them to do it or telling them that their feelings don't matter and they need to stop right now. You have a right to feel your anger. You also need to know that you're not allowed to do certain things because of that anger, because when you become an adult, you're not going to be allowed to. And as an adult, if you do those things, there'll be consequences. So, the second thing I think we do is we try to save our kids from failure. And what I mean by that is no one wants to see their kids fail. We always want to swoop in and save them and stop them from failing so that they'll succeed at everything. And it's unrealistic that our kids are going to succeed at everything. And this hurts their development, because if your kid never fails, they never learn how to pick themselves up when something adverse happens to them. They don't learn from a mistake. They don't learn what it's like to make a mistake, learn from that mistake, and do better. So when they make a mistake on a job, they have no idea what to do. They end up bawling their eyes out, having panic attacks, quitting jobs because they've made a mistake and they're just assuming they're going to be fired. They're really at a loss for what to do, because they've had their entire life fixed for them by their parents, and they don't know what to do when they're out on their own and mommy and daddy can't fix it for them. Or they get in really huge trouble, like an accident where they accidentally kill somebody, and mommy and daddy can't fix that. So they've got to learn how to make mistakes and fail so they know how to pick themselves up. And it is the hardest thing to allow your kid to fail at something. It's the hardest thing to watch, but you have to let them do it. You have to let them do it so that they can learn how to pick themselves up. So that's number 2. Number 3 is overindulging. We love to buy our kids all the things that we never had, when in actuality, our kids don't really care about all the stuff we buy. They care about it for 2 seconds, and then it goes into that pile of toys that end up in a toy box that they hardly ever play with. But the box that toy came in, that becomes their favorite toy. So we want to give our kids all the things that we didn't have. However, giving kids a lot of things hurts them by teaching them that they don't need self-discipline. I can get things just because I'm cute. I can get things just because mommy knows that I'm the only little girl. I get things just because I'm the only child. I get things just because mommy has money. It doesn't teach them that I need to earn things. I need to do a job in the house to earn money to earn things. So when they go out into the real world, they expect to be given everything. And it's a rude awakening when they learn that that is not how the real world works. You are not given everything. There are very few jobs where you're just handed everything. So we end up handicapping our kids by giving them everything and not teaching them that you need to work for this. You're not just handed the world. We're not just buying toys to buy toys. You actually need to work for this. You need to do a job to earn this money to get this toy. So the 4th thing is we expect perfection. We all want the perfect little kid to sit still and recite things that we ask them to recite. And no kid is that. We want our kids to strive to be the top, to be the best at everything. And no kid is that. And we put all this pressure on kids to be perfect, to be the perfect little, we want our perfect little doctors, our perfect little lawyers. And when they can't live up to that perfect level that we've constantly pushed on them as adults, and really we just want the best for them, we just want them to strive to be the best that they can be, which is what really we should be telling them. I just want you to be the best you can be, instead of putting, I want you to be a lawyer, you're going to be a lawyer, and pushing that. I just want you to be the best you can be is what we should be saying. We put all that pressure on them, and when they can't live up to it, they end up with self-esteem problems and confidence problems. They can have panic attacks. And really those expectations are unrealistic, because every kid is different. And really, we don't really know as a 2-year-old what our kid is going to be like at 15, at 20, at 25, because they go through so many stages, especially boys go through so many stages between 2 and 25 that you have no idea what that personality is going to be like, and who that boy, that 2-year-old boy is not who that 25-year-old man is going to be. So to put all that pressure on that 2-year-old that you're going to be my doctor, as opposed to you're going to be the best Demetrius that you can possibly be, it's more important to be the best Demetrius than to be the top doctor. You're going to be my top doctor. No, you're going to be the best Demetrius at whatever job you choose. You're going to be the best Demetrius at that. So, expecting perfection, we shouldn't expect perfection. Instead, we should expect something realistic and specific for your child, because there is no one size fits all. Everybody's kids are different. Even just in your household, you got 4 kids, you got 4 different personalities. You have 4 very different kids that you cannot put the same expectations on. And make sure your expectations are realistic. That's why I say you're going to be the best you can be. That's a realistic expectation. So the 5th thing is we want to make sure they're always comfortable. So we allow our kids to never do things because it makes them uncomfortable, and that hurts their mental strength. So what I mean is, we don't let them be in situations that make them uncomfortable. They don't want to go to parties because maybe they have social anxiety and they don't want to be uncomfortable at a party. We don't make them go to school dances because they don't want to be at the dance, because that makes them a little bit uncomfortable. We don't make them sit at the table with other people because it makes them uncomfortable. And then they grow up and they're handicapped because they are so anxious in uncomfortable situations that we as adults are put in every day. Especially if you have a job, you are put in an uncomfortable situation daily. You are handicapped at how to handle that. So we can't constantly make our kids comfortable. Put them in those uncomfortable situations. Make them go to one school dance a year. It doesn't have to be every school dance. Make them go to one. Make them go to one party they are invited to a year. Make them a little bit uncomfortable so they learn how to handle those situations. Make them sit at a table with kids that they don't know. They might not talk to them because they're a little bit uncomfortable, but they'll get more comfortable talking to people they don't know if they're put in that situation just every once in a while. I promise it won't kill them. It'll make them a little uncomfortable. It'll make them a little uneasy, but I promise it will not kill them. And it is important to teach our kids the skill, because it saves them from, as an adult, not knowing how to handle themselves when they are put in an uncomfortable situation. We all know the person who has no idea how to handle themselves in an uncomfortable situation. They're the ones that we laugh at behind their backs, or that we have the funny story about. Let me tell you what this person did. That strange person at our job that we all talk about. That's the person whose parent never put them into those strange social situations, and they never learned how to deal with those strange social situations. So now they're awkward in them. That's what you don't want to do to your kids. So just let them be a little uncomfortable. And it's hard to watch. It is hard to watch them be a little uncomfortable, but I promise it won't kill them, and it actually will help them learn how to deal with being in awkward social situations, because it's just a part of life, those awkward social situations. So number 6 is not setting parent-child boundaries. There's this new phenomenon of parents wanting to be their kids' best friends instead of setting clear boundaries and telling kids, I am your parent, you are my child, we are not friends. So, kids crave boundaries. They spend that's from the time they're 2 until the time they're 4 pushing boundaries. They go through the terrible 2s where they're pushing your boundaries and the bossy 3s where they're pushing the boundaries, trying to figure out where those boundaries lie. And when we as parents try to be our kids' best friends, trying to make sure they like us, we take away something from them and teach them that the world has no boundaries. So when they get into adulthood and they figure out, wait, the world actually does have boundaries, they are flabbergasted and they don't know how to handle it. They are more prone to have panic attacks. They are more prone to depression. We as adults have to make sure there is a boundary that, you have curfew, you have chores, I am the parent. There's a specific way that you have to talk to me as your parent. We are not buddies. You're not calling me dude. You're not calling me by my first name. There's a boundary set because I'm older than you. I gave birth to you, and we're not buddies until you pay my bills. As my mom would say, you are not my friend. Or my mother would always tell me, I don't need whatever age I am friends. So kids need those boundaries. They need to know where their boundaries lie. And they really do crave, kids crave boundaries and they crave rules. Regardless of how much they push against them, that is just the nature of a child to push against those rules. They really do crave them. And we do them a disservice not to give them to them. So create strict boundaries so that they know where the boundaries lie. And it will help them as adults, because even as adults, we have rules and boundaries. There is a boundary between a wife and a husband, and there are rules for wives and husbands. There are rules as a citizen when you go outside, and there are things that you can and cannot do. There are rules and boundaries between a boss and an employee. So you need to know roles. That's really what it's about. What is the role of a parent? What is the role of a child? So you need to know your roles. Because you will always be in a role. You're in a role as a citizen when you walk out the door. You're in the role of a employee. You're in the role of a boss. You're in the role of a husband. You're in the role of a wife. You're in the role of a boyfriend, role of a girlfriend, role of a mom. There's always a role. So you need to know these boundaries, and they need to understand them so that they are not disappointed when they figure out, when they leave your house, that, wait, there are rules to this world, because in my house there wasn't any. And they're not having these flip outs when they figure out that the world is not handed to them on a silver platter like it was within their house. People expect things of them. And my 7th thing is taking care of yourself. It is important that your kids see you, number 1, taking care of your physical self, going to the doctor, eating healthy, taking or exercising, because they will emulate what you do. If you're eating good, they will eat good. If you're exercising, they will exercise. You want to break the chain of, you're overweight, your mom was overweight. You want to break that chain? Let your kids watch you exercise. Let your kids watch you eat good. Your kids will pick that up, and you will break that chain. They will also learn that taking care of themselves as adults is just as important as taking care of everybody else. And then the second thing is taking care of yourself mentally, because the mental part is just as important as the physical part. If you're not there mentally for you, it's no way you're going to be there mentally for your kids. it's going to be you on automatic pilot, and you're going to miss so much good stuff because your head's all messed up and you can't get out of your head to be in the moment with your babies. So I have a whole video on self-care. Please go watch it. So those are my 7 things. Don't minimize your kids' feelings. Try not to save them from failure. Try not to overindulge them with things. Try not to expect perfection from them. Try not to make them always feel comfortable in situations. Let them feel uncomfort. Set boundaries and take care of yourself, because you're just as important as they are, and they want to see you happy. So it's not that you're not a good parent. All parents have the best of intentions, but let's try to do these things and be better. That's what it's all about, being better. It's all about love. So that's my soapbox for today. Please subscribe. Please go watch the video on self-care, because it is so important to take care of yourself mentally as well as physically. We always think about taking care of ourselves physically. We always forget the mental part. Got to take care of what's going on inside as well as what's going on outside. And we'll be seeing you. Bye.